It is NBA draft night, and I could not be more excited. The Miami Heat pick at 18. There's a lot of prospects. Will the Heat trade it? Will they not? We have a lot to talk about in today's Heat Report. I am your host, Nic Rohloff, and on today's show, we will be talking about 5 targets they will pick at 18 if they do keep the pick. And that's why you subscribe as well. It's a big night for the Heat. Lock us in. We'll be here for all Heat news, and we'll have a video with the draft pick. We also are on Damian Lillard watch. Are the Blazers going to pick number 3? Assuming they do, is Damian Lillard going to ask out? Maybe the Hornets take Scoot Henderson at 2 now, and the Blazers take Brandon Miller at 3, and the next thing you know, Lillard's requesting a trade shortly after. So make sure you subscribe and lock us in. And I'll also say this. What other Heat YouTube channels repping a Dion Waiters jersey on draft night? That just shows you how real of a fan I am. Lock us in. We'll be here all night long for Heat news. Now let's start with my first prospect that the Heat could draft, and I'm starting off with Nick Smith Jr. Nick Smith Jr., the guard out of Arkansas. A lot of potential, a lot to get to, but I will say this first, is that he worked out for the Miami Heat. We showed it on yesterday's show. Greg Sylvander tweeted it out that he worked out for the Miami Heat, and I think he has a real potential to be the selection at 18. There's his draft stock's falling a little bit, but the talent is there. Last season, he scored 12.5 points per contest. Bad efficiency, 37.6% from the field, 33.8% from 3, and only played in 17 games, so he was struggling with his injuries. And I want to go through pros and cons of every prospect we're going to talk about tonight. And we'll start with the pros and cons of Nick Smith Jr. The one pro, he has the talent to be a 3-level scorer in this NBA. He can score it from the 3. He can get to the mid-range. He can get to the rim. Has nice touch, floaters. He has all of that in his bag. One con, I mentioned his injury history. Only played 17 games. Listen, Nick Smith Jr. was going to be a lottery pick, no doubt about it, coming into this past college season. But he battled injuries all year long. And I think that really caused his production to fall, which just meant his overall ability and draft stock fall as well. Pro, I mentioned his touch around the rim. He can score from the mid-range. He can get to his little snake dribble floater. He can get to the rim and finish amongst the trees. I love Nick Smith Jr.'s finishing ability, but one con to that as well is that he has a slight frame, and I think that's contributed to his injury history, is that he sometimes cannot handle the contact that he has to play with because he's so light. He's 6'5" and only 185 pounds. Now, he does have a 6'8" wingspan, which is a plus, but the 185 pounds is not going to cut it. He has to gain probably 15, 20 pounds of weight to be able to get contact and survive contact as well as defense. In another pro, he's got a good shooting stroke. I know the production didn't show it, but I think it was more about the injury history than anything else. I think Nick Smith Jr. in the Miami Heat training system will be able to put on weight, continue to get better, and I think he could be a great fit, a good scoring guard off the bench. My comp for him is Bones Highland. That's right now, but if he puts on weight a little bit here as we go on, I think he could become an actual good guard off the bench, maybe a starter down the line as well who can score. And he's 19th on my big board, so it kind of fits in that 18th pick range for the Miami Heat. Speaking of pick 18, be the GM for me. Before we go through all the other prospects I could talk about with the Heat drafting at 18, who do you want the Miami Heat to pick with that first-round draft selection? Let me know. Comment down below, and I will interact with you guys down there, so let me know. Next one on our list, Olivier-Maxence Prosper. And this dude is incredible, man. I'm a big fan of Maxence Prosper. Look at his stats last year at Marquette. He scored 12.5 points a game, 4 rebounds on good efficiency from the field, 51%, 33.9% from deep. He was a Marquette player. He's a good basketball player. And one thing I want to mention about him is that he is the definition of a Miami Heat basketball player. I mean, let's just think about this for a second. Marquette forward, plays defense, grindy, gritty player, a lot of hustle. He just screams Heat culture. And if the Heat selected him at 18, I would not be shocked one bit. Let's look at the pros and cons for Prosper as well. Pro number 1, he is an elite defender right away. He's 6'7", 212 with a 7'1" wingspan, so their measurables are off the charts. He can guard 1 through 4. I love the defensive prowess of Olivier-Maxence Prosper. One con is that he can't handle the ball, but that's fine. I mean, he's going to probably be a 3 or 4 in the NBA, small ball 4, big 3 wing. I really like his game. I kind of compare him to DeAndre Hunter if he picks up that three-point shooting. But I like his form. I think his form is repeatable. I think he can get to his shot easily. And once he starts getting more practice with it and gets more comfortable shooting that three ball, I think he could be really, really good 3-and-D, 3 or 4 for anybody in this league. But I'd love that on the Heat next to Jimmy and Bam, because the Heat need more three-point shooting and they need more defense as well. So a 3-and-D Olivier-Maxence Prosper would be very good. One con for him, though, low ceiling. I don't think that he can go and be a top 30 player in this league. And I think he can be a really solid player in his role, but I think that's about it. But that's fine, though. You're not always drafting to draft the superstar, the top 15 player, the franchise-changing guy. Sometimes you're selecting just to have that key extra ingredient to help you win a championship. I mean, look at the Denver Nuggets. They defeated us in the NBA Finals. Their first-round pick last year, Christian Brown, he doesn't have the highest ceiling, but he was able to step in and contribute to a winning culture right away in his rookie year. Olivier-Maxence Prosper can absolutely do that. And one last pro, I already mentioned it, Marquette guy. The connections between Heat and Marquette, Jimmy Butler, D. Wade, Jay Crowder. Heat love their Marquette guys, and I wouldn't be surprised if they go back to the well one more time with Olivier-Maxence Prosper. Once again, he does fit in that range of pick 18, number 21 on my big board. Big fan of Olivier-Maxence Prosper's game. I think he would fit really good with the Heat. Now tonight, the NBA draft is obviously here, and we will be here on Chat Sports. This is our thumbnail for today's live stream. We'll be live 2 hours before the NBA draft. 5 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you subscribe to Chat Sports and check us out. No one will do the coverage like us here live for every pick analysis. I'll be on stream as well helping out. So make sure you come join us here on Chat Sports. If you see that thumbnail, make sure you click on it and join us. Next target at 18, Jett Howard, and someone that I am not all the way in on with Howard. I'm just not in on him. I just don't get it. His eyes, or my eyes, tell me that he's not that good of a player. There's a lot of buzz of him going 17th to the Lakers. I know Heat reporters have said Jett Howard could be a pick at 18 for Miami. I just don't love what I saw last season. He averaged 14 a game, 2 rebounds, 41% from the field, and 36% from 3. Now, one thing I'll say about him is that he is a really good shooter, and that's my number one pro with Jett Howard, is that he can shoot the rock at an efficient level. I mean, he shot 36.8% from 3 on 7 attempts a game. That's his number one pro, is that he can shoot and be good right away in a system. But there are a lot of cons, let's just say, in my eyes, to Jett Howard, and number one is that he's a horrific defender. He doesn't have the weight to guard people on the perimeter and inside, and he's 6'8", so he's a tall guy, but he plays like a guard. So he's kind of like a guard-forward hybrid, which I guess positional versatility is another pro for him, but I just don't love his weight, 215, frail. He needs to put on some weight to be able to defend, and he just cannot guard guys right now. He's a very capable passer. That's a good pro. The assist numbers did not show it for him at Michigan, but I also don't think he had the ball in his hands enough to play make, but from what I've saw through film and tape, he can absolutely pass and has decent vision. And you know the Miami Heat love their positional versatility. Let's look at Caleb Martin. He probably, in most system, projects that as a 2 guard or a 3, and the Heat sometimes play him at the 4. I think Jett Howard, if he put on weight, could be that guy who plays positions 2 through 4 for Miami if they took him. One con is not great awareness. This has to go with the defensive end. He ball watches a lot, will get caught lacking on backdoor cuts. And if you're playing in Miami, you're going to have to be aware on the defensive end, good rotations, because the Heat defense has been the best in the league for the past 5 or 10 years. And if you're going to have to play for them, you're going to have to defend as well. That's why a lot of people have issues with Tyler Hero. Good offensive player, but he struggles to defend as well. And a pro, I guess, but it's more of just like, could the Heat draft him at 18? He's a Miami Heat connection. If you remember, Juan Howard played for the Heat. He was obviously an assistant coach for the Heat for a while. Jett Howard, if you saw that last name correctly, it is his son. So there's a Miami Heat connection there, just like Olivier-Maxence Prosper with the Marquette connection, a Miami Heat connection for Jett Howard. He's at 28 on my big board, so I'm lower than on him than others. I just don't love his defense. There's a lot left on the table. The potential is there, but if the Heat wanted to win and draft a player at 18 that can help them win a championship next year, I don't think Jett Howard is your guy. But if you did move on from Duncan Robinson this offseason and trade him, Howard does have that same kind of 6'8" build, tall guy who can shoot, so I could see it a little bit. Next guy on this list is Leonard Miller, and this is another guy that I'm high on in relative concerns to other people that they are not as high on. But Leonard Miller, I really like him. He has an amazing frame. I love his potential. I think if he develops a jump shot, could be one of the best players to come out of this draft class. I mean, you look at his stats from last season. He had 18 a game, 11 rebounds. He shot 55% from the field, 32.7% from three. He's got a lot of guard skills and a big man's body, which I love. I mean, 6'9", 7'2" wingspan. That is just really good measurables. 213 pounds, but it's not like a frail 213. You see that little picture behind the stats. He's kind of got some muscle to him. I really like Leonard Miller's game. And one of his pros that I just already mentioned is that he's got an NBA-ready frame. He's got muscle. He's 6'9", 7'2", can play the 4. I think that's where he would start off, is just be a nice little 4. He can handle the ball. He can get a rebound on the defensive end and create a one-man fast break situation, go coast to coast. He has got a great finishing. But the one con for him is that he's a developmental draft pick. There's a lot left on the table for him. And I said that with Jett Howard, but I do believe it's the same for Leonard Miller, is that he's got to develop a lot with his jump shot, and I don't know if he's going to be able to contribute to the Heat this next season if they want to win. Same thing with Howard. And with the Heat taking Nikola Jovic at 27 last year, another really developmental draft pick, I don't think the Heat want to go back-to-back years taking a prospect that they have to kind of develop a little bit. I think they're in that win-now mode, and they need to get a player that can impact them from day one. I mean, just look at Tyler Hero's rookie year. He was coming off the bench, putting up 13, 14 a game en route to them getting to the NBA Finals. I know it was the bubble, but a rookie having a massive first-year impact is huge for a team trying to compete for a championship. And for the Heat to go to the NBA Finals and have this 18th pick, it is very beneficial towards them to have that asset after going so far in the NBA Finals. So that's why I could see them going away from Leonard Miller, is because he does need some development. But one pro for him is that he got game-changing defensive potential. He moves his feet well. He's got an elite athleticism, and he can finish at the rim, and he can be that defensive guy. A lot of two-way potential for Leonard Miller. And with that frame of 6'9", 7'2" wingspan, he can guard 1 through 4. He's got the athleticism to stay with the 1s, and he's got the body to stay with the 3 and 4s. Leonard Miller's defensive potential is off the charts. And I mentioned he does have a lot to work on with his jump shot. It's got a little hitch in it. Lefty, don't love it. But if he can develop into just a spot-up 35, 36% three-point shooter on 2 to 3 attempts a game just to keep the defense honest, that will allow him to pump fake, drive in the closeouts, and finish around the rim, which he is so good at. And this, at my big board, he is at pick or number 18. So this would be right on my spot. A lot of people actually have him and Jett Howard flipped. You know how I had Howard at 28, Miller at 18? A lot of people have Jett Howard at that 18 range and Leonard Miller in that 24, 25 range. I'm very bullish on Leonard Miller's potential. But I saved my last draft prospect the best prospect for last, Jalen Hood-Schifino. This is my pipe dream selection. I've talked about it a little bit on live shows and in past videos. Jalen Hood-Schifino, I think, has the potential to be one of the best combo guards coming out of this class. And at Indiana, he scored 13.5 points per game, had 3.7 assists a night, 41.7% from the field, and 33% from 3. I love Jalen Hood-Schifino's game. He's one of the most complete offensive players in this draft class from the guard position. One con for him is his inconsistent score. So he has all the tools to do it, but there are times where he just doesn't put it all together and goes missing at Indiana. And to be fair, though, the team ran through Trayce Jackson-Davis, a big man who's one of the best players in college basketball. So Hood-Schifino was playing Robin to Trayce Jackson-Davis' Batman. So it's tough for him to get a lot of looks, but when he does get aggressive and score, he looks unworldly. I just keep flashing back, and I tell everyone in here in our Chat Sports office, I remember watching him at a bar here in Dallas when he played Purdue on a Saturday night on the road, hostile crowd. You think Zach Edey, Trayce Jackson-Davis, big matchup, best player in that game, Hood-Schifino. He was able to get to his spots at all 3 levels, put it in the mid-range. And he went for like 33, absolutely dominated that Purdue team in that game. He's got a really big wingspan, which I love. 6'10 wingspan and a 6'4 body. One thing that I've kind of been high on a lot in this class is when I looked at these prospects, if you have a good wingspan, I really love the way you can impact the game from the guard position and the wing position. So his wingspan as 6'10 as a guard is very big for me. One bad for him is that he doesn't attack the rim to me. He likes to live in that mid-range and take some tough twos and sometimes step out at the 3 line. If he can use that wingspan, attack the cup, get above the rim, he could add to that offensive game. So that's one con for him. Doesn't attack the rim as much as I'd like to see him do with that frame. And one last pro, he is a good on-ball defender, and it leads to mention that wingspan once again. He's got the arms to be a havoc in the passing lanes. He can give other guards troubles with his reach and length. I really love Jalen Hood-Schifino's ability to impact this Heat team off the bench. And if they do lose Gabe Vincent in free agency, I think Hood-Schifino could be the guard off the bench that can handle the ball and score that Vincent provided us the past couple years as well. And on my big board, he's number 13. I doubt that he's actually there at 18. I bet either the Atlanta Hawks or Toronto Raptors pick him at either 13 or 15. Those are my 2 landing spots for Hood-Schifino. But if he does get lucky to slip to Miami at 18, it could be awesome for our Miami Heat. I'll tell you what my prediction is just in a second, but I want you to pick a prospect. I just ran through all 5 of these guys, and go down in the comment section and let me know which one of these 5, if they were at 18, all 5 of them, which one you would pick. Nic Smith Jr., Olivier-Maxence Prosper, Jett Howard, Leonard Miller, or Jalen Hood-Schifino. Let me know down in the comment section. My prediction, what I want, it's Jalen Hood-Schifino. I just kind of went over him a lot. I love his game. One of my favorite prospects in this class. What I think is most likely for the Heat to do at 18 is that Olivier-Maxence Prosper pick. Really good 3-and-D wing out of Marquette. We know the Heat love their Big East guys, the most Big East basketball players in the NBA last season. Wouldn't be surprised if they add another one to that total, add another Marquette legacy pick. Olivier-Maxence Prosper could impact this team from day 1 too. He fits all the boxes the Heat would want. Impacting the game, defense, 3-point shooting, gritty, Heat culture mindset. I really think Olivier-Maxence Prosper will be the pick at 18 for Miami if they keep the pick, and he's there. Make sure you do subscribe. That'll do it for today's video. Like I said earlier in the show, we will be putting out a video for whatever the Miami Heat do tonight, whether it be trading, whether it be taking someone at 18, and we'll also give draft grades tonight as well. So make sure you lock us in for the best NBA draft content for your Miami Heat tonight.